My name is Sophia Bennett, and at 27, my life is an endless thread of flights weaving between clouds and dreams that never land. I grew up in a humble home in Portland, Oregon, where money barely covered the rent. Since I was a little girl, I fantasized about a fairy tale love, a man who'd sweep me into his arms, eyes blazing with passion, and ask me to marry him. But reality pushed me down a different path. I studied, fought for my financial independence, and became a flight attendant, soaring across oceans while time slipped by, leaving me a virgin, untouched. A secret I carry like a hidden flame, waiting for someone to ignite it. That morning, I boarded a transatlantic flight from Portland to London. My navy blue uniform hugged my body, blonde hair tied in a flawless bun, blue eyes sharp as I greeted passengers with a practiced smile. The cabin was nearly full, the hum of chatter filling the air when a child's cry pierced through from aisle 12. It was a little boy, tears streaming down his flushed face, his mother fumbling to soothe him. I was about to step in, my instinct to help kicking in, when he appeared. He sat by the window, tall, broad shoulders stretching a perfectly tailored gray suit. Brown hair fell over his forehead in a way that felt both natural and deliberate. His gray eyes caught mine for a split second, and a warmth crept up my neck before I looked away. He leaned toward the boy, his voice deep and steady like a distant rumble. "Hey little guy, want to see the clouds with me?" The crying stopped, replaced by a curious hiccup. I watched him point out the window, describing shapes in the sky with a patience that stole my breath. My heart raced. There was the father I dreamed of for my own children, the man I pictured carrying me into a perfect future. The mother returned from the bathroom, thanking him with a smile, and I stepped closer, words spilling out before I could stop them. "You're doing a great job with your son." My cheeks burned, wild thoughts racing, him holding our baby, kissing me with love. He looked up, his gray gaze piercing through me, a slow smile curling his lips. "He's not my son," he said, his voice a low rumble that sank into me. "His mom went to the restroom." He held my stare longer, too long, and I saw a glint there. He'd noticed the flush on my face, the fantasy flickering in my blue eyes. "Okay," I mumbled, turning quickly to hide the heat rising. But the damage was done. Throughout the flight, I busied myself with drink carts and blanket requests, but I felt him watching, his gray eyes tracking every move I made down the aisle. It was as if he could see through me, the dreams I kept locked away, the desire I'd never confessed. When we landed in London, he stood, the suit outlining a body I shouldn't have been imagining, and handed me a black card with gold lettering. "Call me," he said, his voice firm, a command masked as an invitation, before vanishing down the corridor. I clutched the card, the smooth paper brushing my fingers, a secret I tucked into my pocket as my heart pounded. Weeks passed. Flights carried me across the globe, and that card stayed with me, a whisper I touched in quiet moments. Then, on a layover in San Francisco, I found the courage. I dialed the number, my voice shaky as I introduced myself. "Hi, it's Sophia. From the London flight." He laughed, a warm sound that made me blush even miles away. "I remember," he said. "How about dinner at the St. Regis tonight? I want to get to know you." I said yes, my heart in my throat, and hours later, I was there, in a simple blue dress hugging my waist, blonde hair cascading in waves. He waited at a reserved table, a black shirt accentuating his broad shoulders, gray eyes consuming me as I approached. Dinner was a blur of laughter and glances. Every move he made, the way he held his glass, tilted his head, sparked something inside me. When it ended, he leaned close, his voice a low whisper. "Let's have a drink in my suite." I knew I should say no. We just met. But my thighs burned, a flame I couldn't ignore. "Yes," I whispered, and followed him up. The elevator's silence amplified the thud in my chest. The suite door opened, and I stepped inside, heels clicking on polished marble. The click of it shutting behind me sealed the start of something I'd never imagined, a flight that would take me beyond the limits of the sky. Feel that heat rising? That desire that caught me off guard? If it's burning in you like it did in me, don't hold back, hit that subscribe button on the channel and soar with me in this pleasure to the stars. Before we begin, a quick note. This video is a work of fiction intended for mature audiences. It contains suggestive themes and passionate storytelling designed for entertainment purposes only. There is no explicit content, violence, or real events depicted here. Viewer discretion is advised. If you're ready for a thrilling romantic tale, sit back and enjoy. The elevator at the St. Regis rose in silence, but the air around me, Sophia Bennett, crackled. Ryan Caldwell's warmth beside me wrapped around my senses like an unavoidable storm. My blue dress clung to my waist, blonde hair spilling in waves over my shoulders, and my heart thudded as the suite door slid open. I stepped in, heels echoing on the polished marble. The room's luxury, cream walls, mahogany furniture, a king bed draped in crisp white sheets, pulled me in like a dangerous lure. The door clicked shut behind me, and when I turned, he was there. So close I could breathe in his woody cologne, a scent that hit me like a rush. Without a word, he gripped my waist with firm hands, pulling me against him. His lips crashed into mine in a kiss that stole my breath, hot, urgent, his tongue sweeping into my mouth with a hunger that drew a soft moan from me, the sound bouncing off the quiet room. I didn't know what to do. My hands hesitated before settling on his chest, feeling the hard muscle beneath his black shirt, his skin's heat searing through the fabric. "Your trouble," he murmured against my lips, his voice a rough growl that coiled around me. I shivered, warmth climbing my thighs as he pressed me against the door, his body a wall of desire pinning me in place. "Stop," I whispered, but it was weak, almost a plea. He chuckled, a low dark sound that hummed through me as his lips trailed down my neck, sucking the soft skin until I arched into him, a shaky sigh escaping while pleasure danced down my spine. "You don't want me to stop," he said, one hand sliding up my waist, fingers brushing the side of my breast through the dress. The light touch was electric, making me writhe against the cool wood of the door. "You're all proper, aren't you?" he teased, his gray eyes slicing through me as he pulled back just enough, hands still on my hips, holding me like I might slip away. "I'm not like that," I murmured, heat scorching my face as I tried to explain. But he tilted his head, that dark smile widening, dangerous and tempting. "Aren't you?" He took my hand, guiding it to his chest, letting me feel the warmth beneath his shirt. I swallowed hard, fingers trembling as he stared me down. "Then why are you shaking, Sophia?" His other hand climbed my arm, reaching my shoulder, fingers tracing the base of my neck. I bit my lip, stifling a sigh as the heat between my thighs flared into a flame. I couldn't feel that fire, rising, that desire I couldn't control. If it's igniting you like it did me, don't resist. Hit that subscribe button on the channel and dive into this blaze with me, that's just getting started. "You think you can fool me with that angel face?" he said, his deep voice cutting the air as he pulled me toward the room center. Gray eyes glinting with a spark that made me tremble. The perfect stewardess. All prim and proper. Who never gives in. His tone was taunting, almost sharp, and my face burned. He thought I was seasoned, a woman who knew this game. But I was adrift, my heart racing as my body screamed for more. "I don't know what you want," I managed. But he laughed, leaning in until his breath grazed my ear, warm and tantalizing. "I want you," he whispered, his hand sliding down my arm, up to my shoulder, tracing a slow line that had me arching into him. The heat of his touch sparking shivers that raced through me. "And you want this too?" He spun me, pressing my back to the bed's edge, hands climbing my thighs. The dress riding up with his motion, and I felt the cool air on my skin as he leaned in, lips brushing my neck, dipping to my collarbone, sucking gently until loud, the sound filling the room as my hands gripped the sheets. "Ever felt anything like this?" he asked, his voice rough against my skin. And I couldn't answer, too lost in the pleasure wrapping around me. He tugged me closer, gray eyes consuming me as his hands roamed, fingers tracing my waist's curve, climbing to my breasts. The light grays making me ride against him. "I'll show you," he promised, his mouth returning to my neck. And I knew this flight was just beginning. And I didn't want it to end. That St. Regis room was ablaze, and I, Sophia Bennett, was the fuel. Ryan Caldwell had me pressed against the bed's edge. My blue dress hiked up my thighs as his firm hands gripped my waist. His lips sucking my neck with a hunger that pulled a loud moan from me, the sound echoing off the lavish walls. My blonde hair spilled in messy waves over the white sheets. Blue eyes locked on his as he stared down, gray and dark, consuming me while I trembled beneath his touch. "You want this?" he murmured against my skin, his rough voice coiling around me. And I couldn't deny it. The heat between my thighs was a flame I couldn't douse. "Take off the dress," he commanded, stepping back just enough to watch, his eyes gleaming with a lust that made me swallow hard. My hands shook as I obeyed, the fabric sliding down my body, pooling at my feet in a whisper. Leaving me in black, minimal lingerie that barely covered the fire pulsing inside me. He groaned, a raw sound that filled the air. And in a blink, his black shirt hit the floor. His chiseled chest bared in the moonlight streaming through the window. A sight that made me catch my breath as he closed the distance, hands running up my legs. "You're perfect," he whispered, fingers tracing the insides of my thighs, climbing with agonizing slowness until they brushed the heat between them. Circling with a pressure that ripped a low cry from me. Pleasure bursting through me like a wave I couldn't hold back. I clutched his brown hair, pulling him closer as my hips rocked against his hand, desire swallowing me while he parted me gently. Thumbs teasing me, igniting sparks that raced through my body. "Ever felt this before?" he murmured, lips trailing down my neck, sucking until I arched into him. Moans spilling out as the heat spread. "Feel that fire? Burning me up. That lust I couldn't deny. If it's blazing in you like it did in me, don't pull back. Hit that subscribe button on the channel and fly with me in this pleasure to the stars." His mouth followed his hands, warm lips brushing my stomach, dipping to my thighs, sucking the tender skin until I writhed beneath him. Nails digging into the sheets as the room spun around me. "I want to hear you," he growled, voice deep against my flesh. And I moaned his name. "Ryan." The sound ringing out as he guided me, fingers exploring every curve, climbing to my breasts. Thumbs circling the sensitive peaks through my lingerie until I arched my back, the heat exploding through me like a storm. He lifted me, carrying me to the bed center. The cool sheets a shock against my burning skin as he hovered over me. Lips tracing my stomach, each kiss a jolt that had me trembling. But then, as he positioned me, his body's weight pressing against mine, his hardness grazing my thigh, fear sliced through the haze of desire. "Ryan," I whispered, voice quaking. And he froze. Gray eyes meeting mine with a confusion that made me swallow hard. "What's wrong?" he asked, hand still on my hip, warm and steady. The other cradling my face with a gentleness that clashed with his hunger. I've never done this," I admitted. Tears stinging as I confessed. "I'm a virgin." Silence dropped like a curtain. And I saw shock flash across his face. Eyes widening for a moment before narrowing, taking it in. "You?" He blinked, pulling back slightly, hands hovering as he stared at me. "A virgin?" The word came out almost a whisper. And I nodded, blush searing my cheeks as desire and fear battled inside me. He ran a hand through his brown hair, chest rising and falling fast. "Do you want this?" he asked, voice rough but earnest. And I bit my lip, the heat still raging despite the nerves. "Yes," I murmured. And he smiled, a new glint in his gray eyes, a mix of surprise and craving. "Then we'll keep going," he said, voice steady as he leaned in again. Fingers sliding up my thighs with a care that had me arching, tracing slow circles that reignited the fire within me. "I'll get you ready," he promised. Hand climbing my stomach, reaching my breasts. Thumbs circling with precision until I moaned loud, the sound filling the room as he guided me. Fingers teasing every sensitive spot, parting me gently as pleasure soared me to heights I'd never dreamed of. "You're mine now," he whispered, lips brushing my ear. And I surrendered. Body quaking as he took me with his fingers, each move lifting me higher. My heart racing as I soared in a sky I'd never known. He knew what he was doing. And I knew, this night was just the start of something that would change me forever. The bed at the St. Regis was a sea of white sheets where Sophia Bennett drowned in pleasure. My body hot and trembling under Ryan Caldwell's hands. My black minimal lingerie barely concealed the fire pulsing within me. Blonde hair splayed in wild waves. Blue eyes locked on his as he stared down, gray and darkened with a mix of shock and craving after I'd confessed my virginity. "You want this?" he confirmed. And my whispered yes still lingered. The heat between my thighs betraying me as he resumed his touch, fingers tracing my skin with a promise that had me arching. "I'll get you ready," he said. And now, his hands were on me, sliding up my legs. Thumbs circling the insides of my thighs with a pressure that pulled moans from me. Pleasure rising in waves that had me writhing against the sheets. "You're perfect," he'd whispered. And I felt every word like a caress. His lips brushing my neck, sucking the soft skin until I arched into him. A shaky sigh escaping as he guided me, hands climbing my stomach, reaching my breasts. Thumbs tracing warm circles that had me moaning loud. The sound filled the room as my body quaked beneath him. "You've got me hooked," he murmured, voice rough against my ear. He lifted me into his arms, his heat pressing into me as he carried me to the bed. A gasp escaped me as he set me down. "I didn't believe in love," he confessed, gray eyes devouring me as he shed his pants. His body was a vision that made me swallow hard, chiseled muscle, tan skin, a strength promising to consume me. I thought everything could be bought, company, pleasure, anything. He leaned in, hands gliding up my thighs, parting them with a tenderness that clashed with the raw desire in his gaze. Fingers drew fiery lines that had me arching against him. "But you..." He paused, one hand rising to cradle my face, thumb brushing my lower lip as he gazed at me. His gray eyes softened with something I never expected from him. "You've changed everything." His fingers slid down my neck, reaching my breasts. Thumbs circled the sensitive peaks through my lingerie until I arched my back, a long moan spilling out as pleasure surged through me, hot and overwhelming. I saw it then, the millionaire who bought everything was falling, caught in a trap he'd set himself. And I was the thread holding him fast. Feel that heat consuming me? That lust lifting me beyond the clouds? If it's burning in you too, don't land yet. Hit that subscribe button on the channel and dive into this flight of desire with me all the way. "I want every inch of you," he growled, turning me onto my side. His body pressed tight against mine, hands firm on my hips as he guided me. Fingers slipped back to the heat between my thighs, tracing circles that had me rise in pleasure, spiking to peaks that tore cries from me. "Tell me you're mine," he whispered against the nape of my neck, lips sucking the tender skin until I moaned loudly. The sound rang out as he pressed himself closer, his hardness making me gasp as he teased me. Fingers moved with a precision that left me teetering on ecstasy's edge. "I'm yours," I moaned, and he smiled, gray eyes glinting with a possession that set me ablaze. "I'm not letting you go," he said, flipping me onto my back. Hands climbed my legs, parting them with gentle force as he leaned in, lips brushing my stomach, dipping to my thighs. He sucked the soft skin until I clutched his brown hair, pulling him closer as my body trembled beneath him. "You're mine," he repeated, mouth returning to my neck, teeth grazing my collarbone until I arched into him. Pleasure soared me to a flight I never wanted to end. He guided me, fingers exploring every curve, teasing me with a patience that had me begging for more. His groans mingled with mine as the room spun around us. "I want you," he whispered, lips grazing my ear, and I felt his weight against me, his hardness pressing as he took me with his fingers. Each motion lifted me higher, my heart pounding as I flew in a sky I'd never known. "You've changed me," he admitted, voice rough as he held me, gray eyes shining with a need that bound me to him. I knew he was lost in me, and I in him, a passion neither of us saw coming. Morning light filtered through the curtain, the sheets tangled around us. My body still warm from the night before, he brought coffee. Gray eyes traced my every move as I sipped, hands hesitating before brushing my arm. "I've got a flight today," I said softly, reminding him of my job, but he smiled, a possessive glint in his gaze. Call me when you land, he replied, and I knew this flight was just the first of many. Weeks turned into a whirlwind of flights after that night at the St. Regis, and I, Sophia Bennett, lived between skies and sheets. Each moment with Ryan Caldwell more searing than the last. Morning had come too soon, the tangled white sheets a testament to the fire we'd ignited. My body still tingling from his touch as I sipped the coffee he brought, his gray eyes watching me with a hunger that lingered. I've got a flight today, I said, my voice soft as I reminded him of my life as a stewardess. He smiled, a possessive spark in his gaze. Call me when you land, he replied, but I'd seen the shadow flicker across his face. Days bled into months, London, Tokyo, New York. His black card a constant in my pocket, the heat of that night trailing me as I served passengers. My navy blue uniform hiding the blaze he'd sparked. I'd call, and he'd find me in lavish hotels or his private jet. Each reunion a storm of desire. In Paris, he'd pulled me against him in a high-ceilinged room, lips ravenous on my neck, hands climbing my thighs, tracing hot circles that tore loud moans from me. The sound echoed as I gripped his shoulders, pleasure soaring me to dizzying heights. You drive me wild, he growled, pinning me to the wall, fingers teasing every curve until I arched into him. The heat between my thighs consumed me, but suffering struck in Chicago months later when he met me at a hotel after a delayed flight. Stay with me, he said, voice rough as he tugged me onto the bed. Gray eyes dark with a need that burned my skin. I can't, I murmured, still in my uniform as he kissed me, lips hot on my neck, sucking until I moaned. I've got a flight tomorrow, I added. He froze, chest heaving, fist clenching the sheets. You're always leaving, he said, voice cracking, and I saw it, the millionaire who didn't believe in love was breaking, aching for something he couldn't hold. I want you, he confessed, pulling me close. Hands firm on my hips as he guided me, fingers tracing my stomach, climbing to my breasts. Circling the tender peaks until I arched into him, a long moan spilling out as pleasure surged through me. Stay, he begged, lips brushing my ear. I felt his hardness against me, making me gasp as he teased me with his fingers. Each move stoking the fire within me. I work, Ryan, I whispered, but he kissed me slow and deep, tongue dancing with mine as desire wrapped around us. Feel that fire burning me up? That passion tying me to him? If it's blazing in you too, don't land yet. Hit that subscribe button on the channel and soar in this pleasure with me to the sky. I love you, he said, voice low as he held me, fingers lacing through mine, chest pressed to mine. I didn't want to, but I do. The man who bought everything was undone, a lovesick shadow aching for me. And I felt it. His pain was mine too. Call me when you're back, he whispered, releasing me reluctantly. And I left his heat still on my skin as I flew to my next destination. Weeks stretched into a year of fiery reunions. In Rome, home. He took me against a window, fingers tracing me until I cried out. In Dubai, he guided me on the bed, lips sucking my skin until I begged for more. Each flight brought me back to him, and I knew he was my sky, and I was his. A year soared by since that first night at the St. Regis, and I, Sophia Bennett, had danced between skies and stolen moments. Each reunion with Ryan Caldwell a blaze that reshaped me. After Chicago, where his love broke through in a husky whisper against my skin, our encounters became a rhythm of craving and longing. Paris, Rome, Dubai, every city a canvas for our fire. In Tokyo, he'd met me at a hotel, my navy blue uniform still on, as he pulled me close, lips devouring my neck, sucking until I moaned loud. Hands climbing my thighs, tracing fiery circles that had me gripping his shoulders. Pleasure rocketing me to heights I'd never known. That was months ago, but now, in San Francisco, a year after our first flight, the sky opened wide. I'd landed after a grueling trip, body weary but eager when his call came. I'll pick you up at the airport, he'd said, and soon I was in his private jet. The leather seats cool against my legs as he waited in the back suite. I stepped in, the same blue dress from our first night hugging my waist, blonde hair loose in waves. And I saw him, black shirt unbuttoned, baring his firm chest, gray eyes consuming me as always. "You're here," he whispered, voice rough and warm. He pulled me against him, lips crashing into mine in a hot, deep kiss. His tongue swept my mouth until I moaned, the sound ringing in the cabin as my hands climbed his chest, feeling the heat beneath my fingers. "You drive me insane," he growled, hands sliding up my thighs. The dress lifted with his touch, fingers brushing the heat between them, circling with a pressure that had me arching into him. A low cry escaped as pleasure erupted like a storm. "I want to feel you," he murmured, guiding me to the suite's bed. The white sheets cool against my heated skin as he leaned over, lips trailing down my neck, sucking until I writhed beneath him. Nails digging into his shoulders as desire consumed me. He turned me, body pressed tight to mine, hands firm on my hips. Tracing hot circles that tore loud moans from me, the sound filling the air as the jet seemed to fly just for us. Feel that fire blazing through me? That passion lifting me beyond the sky? If it's igniting you too, don't land yet. Hit that subscribe button on the channel and soar in this pleasure with me to the stars. "I can't take it anymore," he said, stopping suddenly. Chest heaving as he stared at me. Gray eyes alight with a depth that made me swallow hard. "Watching you leave every time, it's killing me." He pulled me close, hands cradling my face, thumbs brushing my lips as he kissed me slow and deep. Tongue dancing with mine until I moaned into him. "Marry me," he whispered, voice rough against my ear. And I froze, heart pounding as the words I'd dreamed of since girlhood echoed through me. "Yes," I murmured, tears of ecstasy and love spilling as I pulled him to me. Lips locking onto his in a kiss that sealed it all, the desire, the fire, the love that had grown with every flight. "You're mine," he growled, flipping me against the bed. Fingers climbing my thighs, teasing the heat between them until I arched into him. A long cry spilling out as pleasure soared me to a peak that left me trembling. "I love you," he said, lips sucking my neck as he guided me, hands roaming every curve. Taking me with a patience that set me ablaze until I cried his name, Ryan. The sound ringing as he carried me to the sky once more. We married weeks later, a year of passion sealed in a yes that brought the fairy tale I'd always craved. He wanted me all to himself. And from then on, I flew only on his jet. The millionaire who could have anyone, choosing me, the virgin stewardess who turned him into a lovesick dreamer. Forever.